We are living through one of the biggest technological shifts in human history, period. The rise of AI is changing, well, pretty much everything. But instead of feeling overwhelmed by it all, what if you could use the actual science of motivation to take control? To not just react, but to direct your own future. That's exactly what we're going to break down.
Tech entrepreneur Dan Martell put it really bluntly. He said, "The most dangerous thing in the world isn't AI." And that just kind of hangs in the air, right? If it's not the super intelligent tech that's supposedly coming for all our jobs, what on earth could be more dangerous?
And there it is. That's the punchline. In a world of exponential change, just standing still, being average, is the single biggest risk you can take. You see, this isn't just about some fancy new tool. It's a whole new landscape where the old rules about effort and value are getting a complete rewrite. The stakes? They've literally never been higher.
All right, so let's be crystal clear about the scale of this wake-up call. We're not talking about some slow, gradual change that you can kind of ease into over the next decade. No, the pace is unlike anything we have ever seen before. I mean, the scale of this change is it's staggering. Just look at these numbers. 700 million weekly users for ChatGPT in only 32 months. That is the fastest technological adoption in human history. It's faster than the iPhone, it's faster than Facebook. And here's the crazy part. Unlike those things, AI has this unique feedback loop. The more we all use it, the smarter it gets. We are actively accelerating the very thing that's challenging us.
So that brings us to the real heart of the matter. It's not enough to just know that change is happening. The real challenge is internal. When you're faced with this kind of pressure, where do you find the motivation to keep up, to learn, and actually turn this whole disruption into an opportunity? How do you get in the driver's seat?
Well, to answer that, we have to go way beyond just trying harder. We need to understand the engine that actually drives us. We need to look at the science of motivation and really get the why behind what we do.
And this is where something called self-determination theory comes into play. It's this really powerful framework that argues motivation isn't just one thing you either have or you don't. No, it's a spectrum. It's all about the quality and the source of your motivation, not just how much of it you have.
So the most basic split is between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic is when you do something just for the pure joy of it, like a hobby you're obsessed with. Extrinsic is when you do it for some separate outcome, like a paycheck, a good grade, or just to avoid getting in trouble. The thing is, most of the stuff we have to do, like learning new skills for work, well, that falls smack in the middle of that extrinsic category.
But here's the absolute game changer from the theory, which you can see all mapped out here. Extrinsic motivation isn't just one single bad thing. It's a whole continuum. It's a spectrum of autonomy that moves all the way from feeling completely controlled by outside forces to feeling like you are in total command of your own choices. And learning how to move yourself along that spectrum, that's where the magic really happens.
Let's actually walk across this spectrum. So on the far left, you've got external regulation. That's the "my boss told me I have to learn AI" voice. A step over is introjection. I should learn AI or I'll feel guilty and all my peers will get ahead of me. Then it starts getting way more powerful. Identification is, okay, I see that learning AI is genuinely important for my own career goals. And finally, you get to integration. I am the kind of person who leverages AI to be more effective. It's just part of who I am now. You feel that shift in power?
So, just take a second here and be honest with yourself. When it comes to learning these new skills or tackling that tough project at work, where do you really fall on this spectrum? Are you feeling forced into it, or do you feel a real sense of ownership? Just recognizing where you are is the first crucial step to changing it.
Okay, so if we know the spectrum exists, the big question is, how do we consciously move ourselves over to the right side, towards those more autonomous, more powerful forms of motivation? Well, lucky for us, decades of educational research have given us a pretty solid blueprint. The first strategy sounds simple, but it is so profound. Find the personal relevance. Don't just learn a new tool because somebody told you to. You have to ask, how can this actually help me achieve my personal goals? How does this connect to something I genuinely care about? This is how you shift from feeling forced towards consciously valuing the goal.
And this isn't just some feel-good idea. The data absolutely backs this up. Studies show that when students can connect what they're learning to their own lives and their own interests, their motivation scores can jump by 30 to 40%. That is a massive increase, and it's something you can totally engineer for yourself.
The second strategy is all about autonomy. Look, we are hardwired to want control. So give yourself choices. Don't just blindly follow some tutorial.
Choose the project you'll apply that new skill to. Choose the time of day you learn. Even giving yourself these little choices can dramatically increase your sense of ownership over the entire process.
And the impact of that autonomy is huge. Research consistently shows that environments that support it, that give people choices, have a really large positive effect on motivation. You move from feeling like a pawn in someone else's game to feeling like a player who actually gets to decide their own moves. And that feeling, it's like rocket fuel.
So here's the really crucial point. This isn't just theory. By actively seeking relevance and creating choices for yourself, you can take any external demand and literally transform its motivational quality. You can shift it from something that happens to you to something that you choose to do.
All right, so let's bring all this back to the AI revolution. We have the framework now. So how do we actually apply it in a high-stakes, fast-paced world? How do we make that shift from being a simple doer of tasks to becoming a director of outcomes?
And that brings us back to Dan Martell's radical mandate for his team. This sounds incredibly extreme, doesn't it? It's a demand, it's an external rule. But if we look at it through the lens of our motivation spectrum, something really fascinating is happening here.
What he's really doing is creating a shock to the system. It's a jolt designed to force his team to move across that motivation spectrum. They can't just comply with a rule like that. To hit a target like 92%, they have to fundamentally internalize the value of AI. They have to start seeing it as absolutely essential for their own success, not just another task on a to-do list.
And this perfectly captures his central idea, the shift from the doer to the director. The doer executes tasks, right? They're often driven by the left side of our spectrum, external rules, avoiding guilt. But the director designs the system. They're driven by the right side of the spectrum, by an internal vision and integrated values. AI is automating the doing, which means the only real value left is in the directing.
And that, right there, is the ultimate takeaway. In the age of AI, your most important job is to become the director of your own motivation, to take conscious, deliberate control of the why that drives you.
So, here's the game plan. First, assess your why. Be really honest about what's actually driving you on these key tasks. Second, find your autonomy. Engineer relevance and choice into everything you have to learn. And third, you have to adopt an AI-first mindset. Stop treating it like just another tool and start seeing it as an integrated part of your thinking and your identity. Make it part of who you are as a professional.
In the end, Martell says, the world will show you where you're not free. Any task you're forced to do, that you resist, that you don't feel in control of, AI is coming for it. So this leaves a final, pretty powerful question for all of us. Now that you know you have the tools to shift your own motivation, where will you stop being a doer and start directing?